Um, our chairman for the session, of course, is Mr. Ravi Shankar. I think everyone here knows Mr. Ravi Shankar and his many achievements. I would invite Mr. Ravi Shankar to intervene whenever he feels like it, as opposed to we asking for his comments, because I think he will have much to share with us as we progress through the next 90 odd minutes. I would like to try and make this as interactive as possible. So even if our small audience at the back has some questions or you'd like to intervene, please do so. We also have two friends from overseas. We have Yudo from Indonesia and Mark from Myanmar, or Burma, as we tend to call it in India. They're also trying to see how we can take this Wireless for Communities project into their respective countries. So they're here to observe. They're also going out to one of the project sites over the weekend. So again, the more we can share, I think the better it will be. So before I introduce all the panelists, I would just like to ask Mr. Ravi Shankar to say a few words to kick off the session and just share some of his thoughts with us on perhaps what he thinks of the project and what the future holds with Bharat Broadband as well as Internet in India. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Communication. From Internet of People to Internet of Things. That was the theme of the India Telecom, which got inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister this morning in the Vigyan Bhavan, less than a kilometer away from here. So I thought I would leave the Internet of Things there and come to the Internet of People. So it's important to stay connected. Let me put to this thing that today's theme is very clear. Rural communities and trying to connect across. Now, all types of technology need to go to the rural areas. So, the voice communication is something which is still, I would say, missing link in several parts of our country. At least 90% of our country does have the luxury of the mobile towers, but 10% still do not have. And that's the endeavor of the Department of Telecom Universal Service Obligation Fund, which I represent, to take coverage to the uncovered areas. We are looking at technologies for broadband, so optical fiber communication links needed so that you take high-speed broadband so that you are able to enhance the scope of applications at the rural area. We have all been hearing about some 3G, 4G, all of them are likely to come, etc. Now, optical fiber, 3G, 4G, of course, the existing 2G, all of them, how they will converge and do this thing. And we also have ideas which inevitably come up. Why cannot you have community wireless networks, etc., in unlicensed bands? So these are all solutions which try to come about, like the way community radios were there, so community Wi-Fi and community wireless networks. These are all. I think how technology permeates to the rural areas and how technology becomes a democratizing element. I think that's going to be the theme for us. I would like to welcome all the participants, especially the participants who have come from outside of the country, and do hope that your experience will also add to the flavor of this session. Thank you once again. Thanks, Rajin.
Thank you, sir. I'll just like to highlight that we're actually videotaping this session. The reason you see a very small audience here is because what we actually want to do is video this session, the discussions that will take place here. Out of that, we'll extract the suggestions, recommendations, findings, and so on. And there'll be a document created which will be circulated through DEF to all interested stakeholders. So, so that's the reason behind this face-to-face. I wouldn't call it a round, it's a square table, I suppose we could call it. Before we kick off with the discussions, we'll just play a small video about one of the sites we have that we've done with this project in Guna. And then from then, we'll dive into the discussion. So, Chitra, please. Sound. Ask Deepak Maheshwari to speak. Deepak has been around for a while. I think some of us may know him quite well. And one thing about Deepak is in the time that I've known him, if I need some statistic from 1989, he's the person I call. He doesn't need to refer to anything, it's all in here. So Deepak, do you want to share some thoughts about where you see rural wireless networks fitting into the overall picture, particularly perhaps from the policy and regulatory framework, spectrum issues, and whatever else you feel like? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, I would just like to start with one thing, that every country has one particular resource where they are no richer or poorer than other countries, and that is spectrum, okay? So every country has the same amount of spectrum. छोटा देश हो, बड़ा देश हो, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. अमीर देश हो, गरीब देश हो, सबके पास स्पेक्ट्रम बराबर का है. बहुत बड़ी बात है. सबके पास वो एक चीज़ है, किसी के पास पानी कम है, किसी के पास समंदर कम है, किसी के पास ज़मीन कम है, किसी के पास लोग ज़्यादा हैं, कम हैं, जो भी हैं. स्पेक्ट्रम सबके पास बराबर है. So that's one thing I would like to start with. Second thing is, when we are looking at rural areas, villages में जब भी हम जाएंगे वहाँ पर, we have actually more spectrum which is potentially available than in city areas. And there's a reason for it. In cities you have a lot of users, okay? In rural areas there's less number of users. And when I'm saying less number of users, that means less number of users in the sense जो गवर्नमेंट के यूज़र्स होते हैं, जैसे रेलवे हुआ या पावर लाइन्स हुए, डिफेंस हुए, कुछ जगहों पर होते हैं. ऐसा नहीं कि रूरल में नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं है, बट ओवरऑल जो भी यूजेज है वो बहुत कम है वहाँ पर. सो दैट्स द सेकेंड पॉइंट. द थर्ड थिंग इज़, आप लोगों में से कितने लोग अभी ब्लूटूथ वगैरह यूज़ करते हैं या वाईफाई यूज़ करते हैं? एनी ऑफ यू यूज़? ओके. सो अबाउट 11 years back, if you're using Wi-Fi in India, you know where would all of us be? You would be behind the bars, literally, okay? Because it was illegal. Illegal. Viresh is sitting here from the WPC, which is the Wireless and Planning and Coordination Wing. They are the ones who give all the licenses or decide not to give licenses for something or to say that license is not needed for something. Now, till about 2003 or so, a Wi-Fi or a Bluetooth, even if one wanted a license, one could not get it. So that's the other thing. So it's a fantastic thing that in the past 1 decade or so that we have made as a progress, and not just in India, in several other countries also. The 2.4 gigahertz band is one thing. Then apart from that, we have 5 gigahertz band and several other bands where the governments have increasingly de-licensed. And what de-licensing means, कि उसके लिए आपको लाइसेंस नहीं लेना पड़ेगा, उसके लिए आपको कोई कागज़ जमा नहीं करने हैं, उसके लिए आपको कोई पैसे नहीं देने हैं सरकार को. That's the second thing. The other thing about de-licensed usage is something else. अब जैसे हम लोग इस हॉल में इस समय बैठे हैं, इस समय मैं माइक पर बोल रहा हूँ, and other people are listening, hopefully. Now, if suppose you have in the evening or when we have a tea break or something like that, what will start happening is people will start talking. But then most of the people will be talking in at a certain volume, within a certain level. So that way you'll have multiple number of conversations which can continue to exist within this particular hall. But right now, because I have the mic, if I'm speaking at such a high volume, thanks to the amplification there, even if you try to speak to somebody who's sitting next to you, you may actually have to increase your own volume so that the other person can listen. And this has an implication. What will happen is that wireless de-licensed spectrum is something pedestrian जैसे चलते हैं या साइकिल वाला जैसे चलता है उस तरीके की चीज़ है. It is not कि गाड़ी कैसे चलती है. The reason is that we need to have in a community that more and more number of people should be able to use it simultaneously. And this has got 3 basic principles about it. जब भी हम wireless spectrum use करेंगे, and it's not about India, it's anywhere in the world. Any government, every agency specifies these 3 basic rules. The first rule is it's non-exclusive. जो ट्रेडिशनल लाइसेंसिंग होती है वायरलेस की, उसमें एवरीबडी गेट्स ए पर्टिकुलर लाइसेंस. आपकी ये पार्किंग लॉट है, आपका ये फ्रिक्वेंसी है, nobody else can use it at that place. That's not the case with wireless when it is de-licensed. So anybody and everybody can use. That's the first thing. Second thing is you will be non-interfering. That is कि आप अपने शोर इतना ज़्यादा नहीं करोगे कि आपके पड़ोसी को प्रॉब्लम हो, आपके नेबर को प्रॉब्लम हो. So the philosophy is that whatever equipment that you are using it, use it with the minimum power, minimum antenna gain, things like that, so that everything is, so that more number of people can use it simultaneously. जैसे मैंने पहले बोला कि बहुत सारे लोग अभी 2-3 लोग तेज़ी से बोलने लगेंगे, then everybody else will also have to start increasing their volume so that others can listen to them. And after some time, we'll have only noise and no signal, जिसे बोलते हैं, okay? क्यों? क्योंकि सब शोर शराबा होने लगा. Everybody will start speaking in a very loud voice कि दूसरे को हमारी आवाज़ सुनाई दे. Then if I start doing that, Vibhas will start speaking a bit louder. Then Shahid may do it a bit harder. And then ultimately we'll have a lot of noise in the system, but not any signal जो हम लोग use करते हैं. So that's the second principle of it. The third principle is non-protection. वो ये है कि हो सकता है आपके कोई पड़ोसी या कोई आपके कोई neighbor, कोई somebody is using it, then their usage may create some problem for you, but then you need to sustain that. आपको वो सहन करने की शक्ति होनी चाहिए, आपको वो ताकत होनी चाहिए. So these are the basic principles that I would like to just start in the beginning, that whenever you are looking at this, apart from technology and other things, these are some of the basic principles. Otherwise, what we have seen at times is that people actually increase the volume very much. That is, they increase the antenna gain very much just because you'll get a little bit more coverage, things like that. But be mindful that there could be other users also nearby. Thank you.
Thanks, Deepak. So next I'd like to turn to Ravina, because I know she's done a lot of work on spectrum. And of course with the Ford Foundation, they've been doing projects with DF as well as other organizations around the country. So perhaps Ravina, you could share maybe some thoughts on spectrum, but not too much, because I think Deepak's been there, but as well maybe some of the things that you're seeing in the field, in the projects, and perhaps some of the issues and challenges.
So one of the problems that we are trying to address is how do we implement the principles of universal access for everybody? How can we take this resource that has so much value, that is the internet, and make it accessible to everybody, not a select group of the population? The record, obviously, for connectivity in rural areas is abysmal. It's less than 5%, really, and we can debate as to whether it's even broadband. So our goals are to look at how India's own commitments to universal access and to the right to information, communication can be exercised with access being kind of made more available to different groups. One of the problems that we find is that when we think about spectrum and its planning and management, at a national level, that's really important to have a central body coordinating how everything is done. But at a local level, there isn't a sense of, in that sense, belonging and claiming this resource that is the internet. And so some of our work has been to support planning at the block level for rural areas and at the city level, so that we can start thinking about models of universal access from the bottom up. And this is one of the projects that we support is DEF's work in Guna. Another one is an organization called Air Jaldi and their work in Jharkhand. And this kind of 90 village deployments or 50 village deployments are meant to complement some of the big national networks that are being built, whether it's the cable network, the fiber networks, or the cellular networks. But if everybody is moving to these highways, then we want to make sure that the businesses, the medical systems, the school service systems are still connecting the highway to the villages, because if we just have infrastructure that is not availed by people, I think that we are really going to face a situation where we have such a big digital divide that will only make the story of exclusion even more depressing in our country. So I think the goal, the amazing opportunity that this kind of spectrum provides is that good businesses, small and medium service providers who care to create business models for rural areas can interface with networks like the NFON or the big 3G companies and can continue this. So I think we should have an emphasis on better licensing policies for smaller and medium players, much more emphasis on local level planning to corroborate and to coordinate with the big national level plans and missions as well, as well as opportunities for infrastructure sharing. You know, because if we don't have those opportunities, then we don't have any way of really actualizing an affordable internet and an efficient internet for rural areas, because it cannot be anything but efficient. I mean, especially in rural areas, we cannot say substandard, you know, just because people are poor that they can start from the bottom. We actually have to create an efficient system, and that has to be affordable at the same time. And I think if we emphasize on the enforceability of those principles that are in our telecom policies, that are the spirit of our commitment to the internet, and we work on making sure that the licensed players, you know, are fulfilling those universal service obligations, and if their business models don't permit them to reach out to the rural poor in big numbers, then maybe they should partner with small and medium businesses to be able to do that, so that this partnership can actually reverse this story of poor connectivity, where today we are, you know, placed very low in terms of who we connect. So it's with this sentiment that I think the unlicensed spectrum becomes very important, both with very affordable technologies and hardware that we have that permit the use of this spectrum, because we've seen a massive drop in prices of that infrastructural cost, as well as this available license that enables those players who would care about the rural groups to come in. And I think that in partnership, so we can't allow just the mobile success story to kill the internet star, right? If you know this, we have to have it not just stop at that. Internet is a different type of technology which can be connected at various places, you know, and can be planned differently. And I think so unlicensed gives us that opportunity to really imagine technical planning and infrastructure planning in a different way, in a bottoms-up way, and I hope that it will have more interfaces with the big national schemes as well.
Thanks, Ravina. So at this point, you know, you mentioned business models. So we have a gentleman from the private sector on the panel. So Vibhash Sharma is founding director and CEO at Aura Ventures. So Vibhash, perhaps you can share a little bit with us on what you are doing. As I understand it, you do last mile access using wireless networks. Yeah, so you know, just a little introduction maybe of what you do, and then perhaps your thoughts on what we've heard today.
Thanks, Rajneesh. So Aura Ventures is just about 1.5 years old, and you know, as we were talking of the ecosystem, spectrum, non-spectrum, and you know, I've been in the army for about 10 years, and I've seen that the army does the best communications in the rural areas. I've worked with Ericsson, I've worked with the tower companies, and I've been, you know, into the sharing domain of in-buildings and all these domains. So about 1.5 years back, we started looking at that, what is the value chain which a customer in a village requires, and how to provision in the most economical manner the bandwidth from a non-spectrum methodology. That is where Aura Ventures got conceived. And our thought process on the business and the regulatory policies around that is that we have to enable the penetration of broadband, not the narrow band, through the village level entrepreneur. And that is only possible if you got village level entrepreneurs getting trained on the methodology in the cheapest possible manner. Therefore, we started evaluating the access technologies to deliver a YouTube experience to them, because you know, as Deepak mentioned, that spectrum is something which is available to every person all across and all nationalities. So we understood that even at the village level, there's an aspiration, irrespective of the language, to communicate and understand what is happening across the world, probably through the video. Language is not a barrier there. So we decided that whatever access we provide should be minimum 2 Mbps, and on that it should be affordable to the last mile provider as well as to the customer, because in the village, the customer is going to challenge even 1,000 rupees of a tariff today. People here who are actually the functionaries will agree with me that even today, the cost of a connection on a UBR, which is a TP-Link or a Microtech radio or a localized Sham radio, you still spend about 3,000 odd rupees to commission a customer. Where does that money come from? And probably, sir, this has to be taken as a USO fund activity, because you're provisioning infrastructure as a last mile highway to the resources. The second point is that how do you bring in the customer experience? So when we did the value chain analysis, and we are operating a network of about 70 resources in Gurgaon, in Wazirabad village. So we realized that the cable TV operators are very, very keen, because they've got stuck in the CAS, in the digitization process. So we analyzed that what is the ARPU of a cable TV guy today? He earns just about 220 rupees for the connection or bouquet of 250 channels, and about 100 rupees goes to the MSO, the distributor. So 100 rupees from that earning goes to the cable TV, but the technology was very cheap. So we are creating the village level entrepreneurs based on the cable TV network, where they have got the access last mile available. There's a cable going into every village house, and they're also challenging the DTH revolution. They're also challenging the triple play players in semi-urban areas. So we found a good response. We are signed up as master distributors with the Railtel Corporation of India today. We envision that 100 gig ring of bandwidth is available at every railway station across every district. From there, if you pick up bandwidth, the access has to be stable. So if it's a cable TV network which is going on a overhead fiber cable, you already reached a village. Beyond that, the next 2 kilometers for the community could be a UBR. So we build a mesh of technology which becomes very efficient, and the cost per customer or cost per home for an internet connection infrastructure comes to about 1800 rupees, which any customer will now pay, because it's almost equivalent to the dongle model, because you're comparing your services to the dongle. The dongle model is the challenge for the village level entrepreneur. And today, players like Airtel, Aircel, Vodafone are giving it free of cost. MTS has gone one step further. It's given a 3 months package free along with the dongle. So this is where we are unlocking the overall value chain. And we believe that if you can give a YouTube experience, basically the content, if a person can be on a movie in the village and he can surf without buffering, that is the vision which Aura has. And today our average ARPU in this pilot which we created with our partners as Railtel, our ARPU is 1000 rupees in a village. And the last mile delivery is at about 2200 rupees. So we'll be more than keen to enable any of the entrepreneurs here to understand the value chain, because we come from the technology drive perspective, and we want to leverage the technology to give the cheapest delivery of content into that house. Thank you.
Thanks, Vibhas. So I think what we'll do here, oh, yes.
Sorry. I'm thankful to Vibhas for having elucidated the power of optical fiber, because often enough this contradiction comes about whether optical fiber is needed or wireless would do all the things. There is no denying the fact that optical fiber has its utility as far as high-speed broadband, and it's robust, reliant, and resilient also. Just like to mention two things. You touched upon the need for USOF to fund this thing. That's exactly the thing that the National Optical Fiber Network is aiming to do. सभी के लिए कहना चाहूँगा, नेशनल ऑप्टिकल फाइबर नेटवर्क नामक परियोजना ग्राम पंचायतों तक ऑप्टिकल फाइबर ले जाने की एक भारत सरकार की बृहद परियोजना है। इसके ज़रिए ऑप्टिकल फाइबर में हम गाँव में 100 Mbps जो वर्तमान उपलब्ध अनुपात से अधिक जो है हमारे पास ब्रॉडबैंड उपलब्ध हो जाएगा। और जैसे ई लर्निंग, टेलीमेडिसिन, ई गवर्नेंस इत्यादि सेवाएं के लिए जो है हमारे पास हाई स्पीड ब्रॉडबैंड उपलब्ध हो जाएगा। द आइडिया इज वंस वी हैव दिस ऑप्टिकल फाइबर एज द रियल बैकबोन विच विल बी पब्लिक इन्वेस्टमेंट, जैसे प्रधानमंत्री ग्राम सड़क योजना गाँव तक सड़क ले जाते हैं, ये भी इसको समझ लीजिए आईसीटी जगत में ये ग्राम सड़क है, तो वहाँ तक फाइबर पहुँच रहा है। पर ग्राम में सड़क पहुँचने के पश्चात हमारे घरों तक जो है एकल पाथी होता है। ऐसा नहीं है कि जो है ईंट बिछा करके हम अपने घर तक जो है सड़क लेते हैं, उसी प्रकार वायरलेस की आवश्यकता होगी। सो द लास्ट माइल विल बी वायरलेस। सो वहाँ पर रोल जो आप कह रहे हैं रेलटेल के ज़रिए कर रहे हैं जो ISP है। सो from the fiber point onwards, taking further to the home could be an ISP through a fiber, could be through Airtel through or any other telecom service provider like the airwaves. So we need to have what is called resource planning, which you had mentioned. resource planning and usage and the level. So we have to look at it combinatorial. Fiber plus wireless. So the wire and the wireless have to be thought about in a symbiotic relationship, and the last mile will inevitably be wireless. I like your point of the cable TV. आज के तारीख में 100 मिलियन घरों में हमारी टीवी चलती है। अगर फाइबर पहुंच जाती है ग्राम पंचायत तक, तो वहाँ से फाइबर और जो केबल टीवी का जो केबल है, इस समय तो वो एक दिशा में जाती है, वन वे। तो दोनों दिशा में जाने के लिए तब हम जो है उसको इंटरनेट सुविधा युक्त बना सकते हैं। सो टू वे कम्युनिकेशन हो सकती है। सो ये नहीं है कि खाली टेलीकास्ट हो सकती है। आपकी ओर से कोई ईमेल करना है तो उसके लिए जो है एक और फाइबर की ज़रूरत होगी, ताकि पेयर ऑफ फाइबर से जो है टू वे कम्युनिकेशन हो सकता है। सो ये कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ द केबल टीवी नेटवर्क एंड द बैकहॉल ऑप्टिकल फाइबर, जो आजकल डिजिटलाइजेशन कार्यक्रम चल रहा है सूचना मंत्रालय की ओर से, तो उस तरीके से दोनों का संगम हो सकता है। मैं अब समझता हूँ कि तीनों का संगम हो सकता है, ऑप्टिकल फाइबर, एयरवेव्स एंड ऑल्सो योर केबल टीवी। तीनों का संगम हो करके इंफॉर्मेशन, कम्युनिकेशन, एजुकेशन, ये सब का जो है एक रेवोल्यूशन हो सकता है, क्योंकि ये डिजिटल युग में हम प्रवेश कर चुके हैं।
Thank you, sir. Viresh, would you like to offer some perspectives on spectrum planning? Since there's been quite a few references to that.
Thank you, sir. This is Viresh Goel, Deputy Wireless Advisor from Wireless Planning and Coordination Wing. I thank Deepak for giving a layman's perspective on the spectrum usages and availability of spectrum, same spectrum everywhere in the globe. And he has also drawn the better availability of the spectrum in the rural areas, where the chances of interferences, and because the usages are less in rural areas, and the availability of spectrum is more clean in the rural areas. Nowadays, in the urban areas particularly, a bit of interference or non-availability of delicensed spectrum is being looked into. The operators may be able to throw a light on that, because if you start the spectrum using in delicensed in urban areas, you find that the no channels are available. So that way, rural areas in the better footing as of now. We don't know the future, because we are going on the higher bandwidth day by day, and demands is increasing. Yesterday we were talking about the 2G, now we are talking about the 3G, and tomorrow we are talking about the 4G also. So the demand on the bandwidth is going to be there. And one more point I want to make it is that the delicensed activity of the spectrum has taken place in world over, and accordingly in India also the delicensed activity has taken place, and particularly the two bands has revolutionized the landscape, the 2.4 and 5.8. They have brought the information highway to the last mile, and it's backed up with the technology available of internet, and the information, unlimited information available on the internet. So the person sitting in Delhi or sitting in a village are in the same footing. And one more point, that the delicensed activity is not only in for this information activity. Delicensed spectrum has been done for medical devices also. Like doctors uses the device through which it can control your pacemaker, that also operates in delicensed band. And yeah, various RFID activities are also done in delicensed band. So India is if not far, but it's on the on the similar footing along with the various countries in the world on the D-license perspective of the usages of the spectrum in this band. Thank you.
Thank you, Videsh. So we've got 2 more panelists left to speak, and I think our video is also ready. So what not yet, Chitra. So what I'll do is, Shahid, if very briefly you can tell us a little bit about the challenges you faced, you know, with DEF and the project partners we've had. And then I would call on Professor Jain to perhaps, she's been absorbing very, yeah, sure. Thanks.
Myself, Shahid Ahmed from Digital Empowerment Foundations. I have implemented 7-8 places as a community wireless network. Tura, Tilonia, Baran, Chanderi, and so many places. But टेक्नोलॉजी पढ़ना और उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करना ये एक अलग पार्ट है. टेक्नोलॉजी अवेलेबल है. मेरी प्रॉब्लम गवर्नमेंट के साथ है. जितना मैं टेक्नोलॉजी पढ़ता हूँ उससे ज़्यादा मुझे गवर्नमेंट के रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस पढ़ने होते हैं. अभी यहाँ पे बात ये हो रही है कि स्पेक्ट्रम डी-लाइसेंस हो गया है. अब मुझे फिजिबिलिटी टेस्ट करने के बाद मुझे ये पता चलता है कि यहाँ पे मुझे 30 मीटर्स की टावर्स लगानी है. तो उसके लिए मुझे आता है सकपा क्लियरेंस लेना है. और जिस समय मुझे टावर लगानी थी तो मोतीलाल जी बैठे इनके सेंटर पे, इनकी सेंटर है बाबरगढ़ में, वहाँ पे हम लोगों ने 32 मीटर की टावर खुद से वेल्डिंग करके खड़ा कर दिया. हम कोई सिविल इंजीनियर नहीं है, सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर थे. तो खड़ा तो हो गया, लेकिन फिर प्रॉब्लम आई कि इसको हम लोग खड़ा कैसे करें. काफ़ी
कोई और आगे खड़ा हो गया वहाँ.
नहीं, हम लोग उसे जमीन पे ही हम लोग खुद से वेल्डिंग कर करके 33 मीटर्स की टावर्स बना डाला. और वो पूरा अभी वो जमीन पे था, उसको फिर खड़ा करने की चैलेंज थी. फिर किसी तरह कई बार प्रॉब्लम आई, क्रेन वेन से कुछ तरह खड़ा कर करके, और अभी तक वो चल रहा है. फिर बाद में समझ में आता है कि इसके लिए तो मुझे सकपा क्लियरेंस लेना पड़ेगा जब गवर्नमेंट के पेपर पढ़ता हूँ, क्योंकि एज पर द गवर्नमेंट लॉ कि किसी भी आपको अप्रूव बिल्डिंग के ऊपर आप 5 मीटर से ज़्यादा की टावर नहीं खड़ा कर सकते. तो अब उसके लिए अप्लाई तो कर दिया, पिछले 1 साल से अप्लाई किया हुआ, ऑनलाइन अप्लाई किया हुआ, लेकिन रिवर्ट कुछ नहीं आता है. पहली प्रॉब्लम यहाँ. दूसरी की जहाँ तक बात आती है नॉइस की, इक्विपमेंट जितने भी इंडिया में बिक रहे हैं वो सारे ऑलरेडी वो अप्रूव्ड इक्विपमेंट हैं एज पर द नॉर्म्स. 2.4 की इक्विपमेंट 1 वाट है, 5.8 के 4 वाट है. एज पर द नॉर्म्स इक्विपमेंट अवेलेबल है, वेंडर अवेलेबल है, आप उनसे इक्विपमेंट ले सकते हैं. लेकिन इक्विपमेंट तो ले लिए, लेकिन अब सवाल उठता है कि हमने अपने जितने भी कम्युनिटी उनके बीच में इंटरनेट तो डेवलप कर दिया, अगर उनको इंटरनेट शेयरिंग करना है तो गवर्नमेंट परमिट नहीं करती, क्योंकि हमको उसके लिए बैंडविड्थ चाहिए. और बैंडविड्थ जो चाहिए, बैंडविड्थ मैं अपने यूज़ के लिए तो ले सकता हूँ, लेकिन उसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट नहीं कर सकता हूँ. जैसे मैं डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करूँगा, अगर कुछ गलत होगा तो उसके लिए जिसके नाम पे है वो जेल जाएगा. उसके लिए मैंने दूसरा उपाय किया. सवाल ये है कि इंडिया सकपा के लिए. उसके बाद दूसरी प्रॉब्लम ये आती है कि इंट्रानेट तो हमने इस्टेब्लिश कर लिया, हमने ओपन सोर्स में वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग हम चला रहे हैं, टेलीमेडिसिन चला रहे हैं. लोगों को जो भी क्या कहते हैं गांव के लोग हैं वो SDO से, DM से वो डायरेक्टली वो बात कर रहे हैं, वहाँ सब तो ठीक है. लेकिन जहाँ इंटरनेट यूज़ करने की बात आती है तो हमको ना ही हमारे पास ISP का लाइसेंस नहीं है. ISP का लाइसेंस मैं ले नहीं सकता हूँ रूरल में, क्योंकि या तो 2.5 करोड़ है, 25 लाख है, और जो नॉर्म्स है वो रूरल ISP एज ए रूरल ISP अगर हम चाहें बनना तो वो नहीं बन सकते, क्योंकि हम उतना एक्सपेंड नहीं कर सकते. अब दूसरा उपाय बचता है कि हम किसी ISP के साथ फ्रेंचाइजी करें, जस्ट लाइक रियलटेल, NSTPL. अब उनके साथ जब आप फ्रेंचाइजी करते हैं तब आपको जाकर करके आपके इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और देन उनके साथ फ्रेंचाइजी करके अब वो लॉग मेंटेन कीजिए, साथ में डॉक्यूमेंट मेंटेन कीजिए. और ये लेना उतना ही टफ है जितना कि उससे ज़्यादा आसानी से खुदा मिल जाएंगे. उससे आसानी से खुदा मिल जाएंगे. आपको किसी BTS पे बैंडविड्थ मिल जाएगा तो आपको अपने वो टावर पे कोई भी डिवाइस लगानी नहीं देंगे, क्योंकि ये इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जो उन्होंने डेवलप किया उस पर एक छोटा सा भी डिवाइस नहीं लगाने देंगे, क्योंकि ये इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर शेयर नहीं करेंगे. आपको वो पावर क्या कहते हैं सोलर टेक्नोलॉजी है जिसको इस्तेमाल करके वो तो मैं कर लेता हूँ। ये जो चैलेंजेस है बैंडविड्थ की, इसकी क्या हमारे पास सॉल्यूशन हो सकता है कि अगर हम कम्युनिटी को बैकहोल, काफ़ी अच्छा आइडिया है कि अगर हम फाइबर ऑप्टिक्स एज ए बैकहोल यूज़ कर रहे हैं, उससे बेस्ट मीडियम नहीं हो सकता, बट कम्युनिटी को सर्व करने के लिए वायरलेस उससे ज़्यादा बेस्ट, वो बेस्ट है। छोटे से आपको 100 किलोमीटर 200 किलोमीटर के रेडियस में अगर हम उसको स्प्रेड करना चाहें, लास्ट माइल कनेक्टिविटी देना चाहें, मेंटेन करना चाहें, तो इसमें जो इशू आते हैं ट्रिपल ए कंप्लायंसेस कि उनके जितने लॉग हैं वो मेंटेन करना, और तो ये जो चैलेंजेस है गवर्नमेंट के साथ, ये कैसे सॉर्ट आउट होगा? विदाउट इसके सॉर्ट आउट इसका स्प्रेड होना बड़ा मुश्किल है, वरना हम वायरलेस लगाते रहेंगे और सिर्फ उस पर जो है इंटरनेट यूज करते रहेंगे, या फिर हमारी खुद ओन अपनी ज़रूरत है तो हम उसको काम कर सकते हैं। हम पब्लिक अगर चाहता है तो उसको चाह करके भी पूरी सेटअप के बाद भी हम उनको सेल नहीं कर सकते। अगर मैं फ्री भी दे दूँ तो वो अगर कुछ गलत करते हैं तो मैं क्यों पसंद। तो हमारी ये चैलेंजेस हैं। इसके अलावा जो टेक्निकल चैलेंजेस हैं उसके लिए तो हम लोग के पास उपाय है, वो हम लोग कर लेते हैं, लेकिन ये इस चैलेंजेस का हमारे पास कोई उपाय नहीं है।
क्या उपाय है तो कर लेते हैं, खुद बताइए।
नहीं, उसके लिए नेट है, किताब है, पढ़ाई है, एक्सपर्ट से ओपिनियन है, उनसे आप बात कर करके उसको, अब जैसे 2-2 बार हमारे टावरों पे बिजली गिर गई, 12 घंटे के अंदर में मैंने रिस्टोर कर लिया, वो इशू नहीं है। हम ह्यूमन बीइंग को प्रोटेक्ट कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि जहाँ पे वायरलेस टावर लगेगा वहाँ पे थंडर स्ट्रोक सबसे पहले गिरेगा, अगर उस एरिया में गिरेगा तो उसको तो हम प्रोटेक्ट कर लेंगे, ह्यूमन बीइंग को प्रोटेक्ट कर लेंगे, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को रीस्टोर कर देंगे। लेकिन ये गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसी के साथ जो इसको अगर पेनिट्रेशन की बात करें तो ये यहाँ पे सबसे बड़ी चैलेंज है। थैंक यू।
Okay, thank you, Shahid, for that.